I'm going to make a database video about how I'm going to use Notion to keep track of all the people in this history book that I'm reading, and to also indicate which institutions they're part of. Because about 40% of the way through the book and I'm getting quite confused, particularly about the Petrograd Soviet and the Provisional Government, which came about after the February Revolution. So I thought, since I use Notion extensively to track my reading, why don't I build a database that will help me keep track of all of this? So I started doing it and I thought, actually, this might be worth screen recording because, other people might find it interesting and useful. So that's what I'm going to do. It will possibly assume a little bit of Notion knowledge. I'll try and keep it basic, so that even Notion newcomers will be able to follow along. And it's not going to be perfect. I'm going to be struggling a wee bit myself, so hopefully that will make you feel a bit more comfortable about diving in and creating such a thing. So here we go. Let's get into Notion. Right, this is my homepage as such, which is based upon a template that I bought as part of a course that was run by August Bradley, who built a system called Pillars, Pipelines and Vaults. It's a very extensive system. I've been using it since October 2020, and I'm in this Notion database system every day, sometimes for quite a long time, and it tracks all of my reading. It tracks everything I do, more or less. And I use it as a to-do list, I use it as a tracker, I use it as a media vault, etc, etc. So I can't share it because it's proprietary to August's course, but I can show you how I'm going to create a new component which you could quite easily create inside of your own Notion database. Right, so under the custom vaults section, you'll see that I have one called Russian People. So this is one that I created when I was reading Catherine Belton's book, Putin's People. Excellent book, jam-packed with people and relationships and companies and institutions, political parties, etc. So I was having trouble tracking all the people in it when I was reading that book. That's why I've created this Russian People database. So I'm going to be using this to add the characters from A People's Tragedy, because they're also Russian people, or Soviet people, let's call them. I should probably have called this Russian/Soviet people. So a lot of the information that I've been gathering comes from Wikipedia. So here's the page for the Provisional Committee of the State Duma. And let's look at the list of characters. This is a really helpful way of looking at the characters. It's given me the parties that they're members of. It's given me some notes to say who they were and what they did. And this is exactly the kind of information I want to add. So let's start with Mikhail Rodzianko, committee chairman. Copy that, Alt-Tab back to this one, and down to the bottom I'm going to add a new person. I'm going to paste that in, and you can see that it's put it first name, last name. I prefer it the other way round for sorting purposes. Now I've clicked off it and it's sorted alphabetically, so I need to go up and find it. Here it is. Click on the page, it opens up this view. I can click on that. Can I edit from here? And then cut that first name, stick a comma in, paste it. Now I have it the right way round. And I'll keep the link. It's automatically posted it in as a URL with a link to the Wikipedia page. That could be useful, so I'll keep that in. Back to description. So if I click on his name here, I get a bit of a description, so I can just paste that into the description. Could be useful. Right, company we're not going to need. Organ, right, we'll come to that. Soviet organs, right, I'm going to delete this. This is what I created when I was building this. And I want to show you how I did that, because that's the interesting part. So we've put the guy in. Let's go back to the home page. And you can see under custom vaults, we don't have a database for institutions. So let's create that. So I'm going to go down here to a blank bit of the page. I'm going to hit the / key to bring up the blocks. And I'm going to create a subpage. And that's going to be called Russian Soviet bodies. So it's a blank page into which I'm going to put a database, or I'm going to embed a database. Hit the blocks key, type in database. Now we've got choices. It's going to be inline, untitled. Let's give it the same name with DB at the end. So now we've created a new database. So if we go back to the home page, the reason I put it in a sub page is so that I've now got this page which I can drag and put it under my specialist vaults, custom vaults. So I'll put it underneath Russian people. So at the moment there's nothing in it. So what I want to do is have a look at the default layout. So first of all, name and tags. These are the default properties that are there when you create a new database. It's a table view by default, which is fine. I'm going to make it full width so we can see more data as we create new fields. And I'm going to go back to Wikipedia, hit the back button. I'm going to select this as the title. And for my own purposes, I'm going to change this because I'm not using tags. I'm going to add the Russian title because I speak Russian and this will be useful for me. Thankfully, it's there on the Wikipedia page. Helpful. Okay, now enter. See now it's got this as, I forget what they call it, selector option, I think. I don't want it to be a selector. So I think the easiest way, since I can't remember how to do it, I'm just going to delete that property. I'm going to add a new property. Let's do it from here. We want text. I can paste that and I can change the name of it to Russian. And we're going to add another one. It's going to be text again. This is going to be description. And back to Wikipedia. I'm going to copy this. Put the description. And delete that wee footnote bit. So, it's already pretty helpful. Now the fun bit. Add a property. Relation. Relation to what? Can you guess? Russian people. And we want to show this database on the Russian people in the Russian people database. So we're going to make it a two-way thing. Add relation. So now when I click on this, it's going to bring up the entries from the Russian people database. So if we click on Rodzianko, guess what? If we go back to the people database now and we look at him, you can see that it's added the Russian/Soviet body database entry for this character. Useful. Now, how can we make it even more useful? If we want to see all of the members of this particular institution, we would do that by adding a view to this other database. So that's going to be, is it related? No. How do you do this? Database. So that's how you do that. And we want to add a linked view of an existing database. That database we want to look at is the people database we want to look at. So if we change the source to Russian people, right, now we're getting somewhere. And you can see it's put in all of the people. That's not really useful, is it? We only want to see the people who are in this institution. So we use the filters. So if we go to filters, filter by Russian Soviet databases, provisional committee, and now it's showing us only that one person. So if we hit that, we've now got Russian people and only the people who are in this particular institution. Now, we know that we're only seeing the people who are in this institution, so we don't need to see this column here. So we can hide that. Organ, we could probably delete that, but we'll hide it for now from here because we've made organ into databases rather than a selector. Company we don't need. We don't want to delete the property from the database because it's useful for the other book that I read where company was a feature that was important. But we don't need to see it here. And party, he was, I'm sure it was Octoberists, but let's just double check. Yeah, Mikhail Radzienko. Octoberists. In fact, that would be useful to be a selector. So let's change it from text type to that. Just in case we ever want to filter by value, we can see who all the members of the Octoberists were. So if we go back to Mikhail, we've got Octoberists now, it's added that automatically. If we click on the institution, he's visible here. Let's add someone else. In fact, no, while we're on this page, let's just jump back to Wikipedia. Let's steal this photograph. Now we can just drag that up to here and let's drop it in here. Now we've got a photo. And let's take the caption. I don't think it will let me paste this in. Where's caption? No, annoyingly it's not letting me do that. And it's pasted it as text I'm going to have to edit. So I'm only going to have to do it once, so let's do it. It just enhances the page a bit to have this photograph on there. So let's keep that as a next line. See, these are other people I'm going to have to look up and add. So I'll do one more just to give you another example. In fact, maybe we'll pick someone from a different institution. See if it'll let me copy and paste these into the caption. No. Annoying. Control Z. Let's just take the top. No, in fact, what if I do it all as one line? Maybe then it'll let me do it. I've made it all with no breaks. Yay! That's alright, isn't it? Let's just delete that space there. Okay, so who else can we add? So he's from a different party, but they're all... So let's go to the provisional government. Let's copy that. So we're going to create a new institution. So we're still in our Soviet bodies page. I'm going to create a new one. Russian Provisional Government. Let's get the Russian. Doesn't he have it? Must have it somewhere. No, right, we'll come back to that. Let's just take the first paragraph as description. And people. So let's open it up. Let's add a person. Who do we have? Is there a table? Yeah. Georgy Lvov. Let's pick him. He doesn't have a party. Well, let's pick him anyway. He was the first Prime Minister. So if we put him in Russian people as an entry, it's searching for him, and he's not. Oh, no, he's not. He's not in the database already. And you already know what I want to do. I want to change this to be like that. But no, that's not going to be a URL, is it? We want it to be a URL. So we need to do it a different way. Let's go to the people database. Russian people. See, but then we end up with all this. I've got to scroll down to add them. But we add them. Oh, and that's happened again. So I'm going to have to come up with a different method, because this is quite annoying, to be honest. Scroll up to G. There he is. Open. Let's change it from here. Don't like a Y as Georgi. I'm going to change it to an I. Right, now we've got a new people entry. What's he part of? Let's go to this database. Now we've got untitled. I need to delete that or change it. Russian Provisional Government. There he is, added now to that institution. Let's delete this one because we're not going to use this property. There we go. Let's get some information about them just for description. And now let's go to the Provisional Government page. Remember how we did this? We want to add a linked view to an existing database. We want it to be the people database. We want to filter for people who belong to the Provisional Government. So now as we add characters to different bodies and institutions, this page will grow and we'll be able to see exactly who's where. And we can come up with different fields that would be useful and add them as we go. For example, when did he become first Prime Minister of the Russian Republic from 15th March to 20th July. So we could add a timeline here, we could add in some dates, we could add in, we've already done the party affiliation, we can add any kind of information we want. That's the beauty of a database, and then it becomes filterable and it becomes helpful. So now we've got this Russian people database. We can add a different view, a different filtered view. Let's call it a list. So now we've got a list, but we can create filter to show us people who are in the provisional committee. And you can create as many lists as you want on the Russian People database. You could do the same thing from the institutions database. Create different views of this one. So let's say, well, it's going to be people, isn't it? I'm not sure what other view you would have here. Timeline would be a good one. So if you were to add dates when people were members of institutions, you could then show it as a timeline, and that's something I've never really done, but I might do that. So that's a very basic view into how I'm going to be building this out. It might be interesting to come back to it in a few weeks' time when I've read more of the book and I've built the database out and I've come to understand what properties would be useful for me, what kind of information I might use. So yeah, if that's of use to you, if there's something you think you would like to see, let me know. If this kind of video in general is useful, if you'd like to see more of my reading trackers and stuff like that, that might be interesting to do as well. In fact, I'm definitely going to do that because somebody's asked me in my Fable read-along for this book, People's Tragedy. Someone asked me how I keep track or how I take notes and annotate. So that would be quite fun to show. I always enjoy watching that kind of video myself. So there we go. Hope this was useful. Let me know, and I'll see you later. Cheers. Bye.